Thank you very much. Let's see, I'm not sure this is working. Okay, can you guys hear me? No? Okay. I'll just speak loud. Yeah, so I've been around for a while. I've practiced for almost 25 years, and in my practice, I was able to help a lot of people lose a massive amount of weight, but there was always something that was missing for some of those patients who weren't able to sustain the weight loss. So I just became more curious about the biology of the body and the mind and the soul, and just that aspect of lifestyle really fascinated me, so I moved over to the prevention side. But today I wanted to go over with you some highlights on what's happening in women's health, because it's a really exciting time of our career. It's a lot of turning points going on right now. Notoriously, we've been underfunded, but there are more female physicians, female researchers that are taking on the lead in a lot of our research on women's health so that we can see what the effects of cardiovascular health is for women. It's also, we're moving to a time of very personalized medicine with wearables and all that. We can really understand the science behind women's health. And then, you know, medical is moving away from silos. We're no longer just looking at hormones. We're no longer just looking at nutrition. They all interact. And so we're now able to understand how everything is fitting in together and then avoiding just targeting one aspect of your health. So today I'm gonna go over just 5 major areas and then hit the highlights of advances. I'm just gonna kind of keep it casual, and as we go through each section, we can stop, and if you have any questions for me during those times. Next slide. So hormones, that's the foundation of everything regarding women's wellness. Any sort of imbalance can affect sleep quality, cognitive function, mood stability, metabolic health, even bone density, and your energy. And so now we also have these tools that are apps that can track your cycles, and also hormone testing is now more affordable and more accessible, where you can do it at home. It's not yet completely covered by insurance, but it is affordable. And then there are wearables, like I talked about, that can really track our physiology, and so that will help us guide our treatment plans. So this is the landmark update into our 2025. FDA finally reversed the black box warning on estrogen. Yes. So science didn't change. It was just a way we interpreted the data from the Women's Health Initiative. So the initial evaluation, next slide. Oh, there it is. So this is the reversal of the black box warning. Next slide. So looking at the data, the arm that had an increased risk of cancer was the estrogen plus the synthetic progestin group. That was the only group that had a slight increase in breast cancer. The estrogen alone group actually had a slight improvement in the incidence of breast cancer. It was actually a little lower. But because there was some sensationalism with the study, they came out and just banned estrogen and progestin altogether and said that they were both linked to increased risk of breast cancer. We also know from the study that initiating hormonal therapy around the perimenopause had a lot of benefit to cardiovascular health. So during this 20 years where estrogen had the black box warning, the incidence of cardiovascular disease in menopausal women skyrocketed because we lost this protection from estrogen. So this shift in conversation is away from the fear, now moves over to individualization and then looking at the patient and their health risk and all that. So nutrition. Nutrition remains the most powerful and modifiable driver of a women's health. Among the most common nutritional gap is in protein intake, vitamin D deficiency, and magnesium. Who's takes magnesium? Yes, that's good. And vitamin D? Vitamin D is a big deficiency. You know, that's converted from the sunlight converts vitamin D from your skin, but we protect our skin with all kinds of skin protectant and clothing, so we miss out on that vitamin. And it's very important in not only in bone, but also in your mood and your brain health and your immune system. And of course, magnesium is in a lot of green plants and vegetables, and our diet is not that great these days, so we've seen a lot of magnesium deficiencies. But you know, there are all kinds of magnesium supplements out there. You know, those that help you sleep, those that are good for your cognition, some good for bones, and some for constipation. So you have to be really careful about why you're buying the right source of magnesium. We also learned that there's a big gut to hormone connection. Your gut actually produces 90% of your serotonin. Your serotonin is your feel-good, rest, and sleep, and it's produced mostly in the gut, not the brain. And the ones that are produced in the brain stays in the brain. So what you eat and how healthy your gut microbiome will determine your mood and your stability there. So there's a big gut, and so there are now new probiotics that are designed to modulate your estrogen, and then there's AI in there where if you take the microbiome stool test, it can also figure out what bacteria you need to repopulate your gut. And then we also have these studies where we took stools from a healthy patient and put it into a depressed patient, and their mood improved, the depression improved. The same with obesity. We took a stool from an obese patient and put it into a normal weight patient, they become overweight. So the microbiome is a very powerful source of our health. So there's a lot coming out regarding that. And then what's the best diet out there? So the Mediterranean diet has the most research. The foundation of the Mediterranean diet is fiber and olives, the healthy fats, and a little bit of meat, and mostly fish. So the fiber is the most important thing to maintain a healthy gut. I just looked at a study on melanoma patients, and they placed a group on fiber, high fiber, and then a group on probiotics. And the high fiber group had better, a longer period of melanoma-free disease versus the group that was taking the probiotics. So fiber is potent in maintaining your gut microbiome. So what disrupts the gut microbiome? The number one thing, sugar. Sugar is a big, big, big toxin to the body. It causes more health imbalance than nicotine, okay? So it really disrupts the microbiome. And then late night eating. So late night eating is also a big contributor because you're activating your gut at night and it's counteracting what you're supposed to be doing at night, which is rest and restore. And then the new tool, there's lots of really great tools in the microbiome world, looking at stool cultures and then blood and all that. Let's go back one slide. I skipped the protein. So protein is the big, big driver of longevity these days. If you are listening to the news, everybody needs to do their protein, right? As we age, our testosterone drops, our estrogen drops, and then we lose the ability to make muscle. And so that's where, the longevity factor kicks in. If you can maintain your muscle mass, that will also help with longevity and being able to be mobile. So, any more questions about nutrition? Protein, creatine. Yes.
I was going to ask you about creatine. That's something that it used to be like, oh, for the weightlifters, and now they're saying creatine might be helpful for other things.
Yes. Yes. So creatine was abused by the weightlifting society or group. And so there was issues with kidneys and liver toxicity and all that. But it's really a very benign protein. We can actually, studies have shown you can go from 5 grams of creatine up to 20 grams of creatine. And the higher creatine actually helps with mental health, fatigue and energy and all that. So it's not just for muscle. Actually, if you ever heard the word methylation, our body goes through a lot of methylation to just function normally. So if you have a methylation deficiency, then you have to do some folate and some supplementation. Well, creatine really helps with that methylation process. So it really helps with all the energy, all the enzymes, and the activity that's going on. So yes, everyone should be on at least 5 grams of creatine. It doesn't matter when you take it, just take it consistently every day. If I've had a bad night and I need to give a talk like this, I might do 10 grams of creatine or 15 grams of creatine for some alertness. Yes, ma'am. So the creatine monohydrate, the most simple form, is the best. Either in a pill. The gummies, if that's the only way you can do it, is okay. It just has some, artificial stuff in it. But the powder is the best way to consume it at its purest form. And it mixes really easily in liquid. Okay, anything else about protein? Magnesium, vitamin D. Okay, probiotics. The best way to get probiotics is just eating fermented food. A little bit, a tablespoon, sauerkraut, cream cheese, seaweed, once a day is all you need. But it's really tricky with probiotics. It's not well regulated. Okay, we are at sleep. Sleep is no longer a lifestyle choice, okay? It is priority, okay? Sleep is the new smoking. Lack of sleep is the new smoking. It can lead to cancer if you have lack of sleep. And it all goes back to melatonin. Melatonin actually protects you from cancer. Yes. So, and it's released mostly at night when you sleep. So when you sleep, you detox, you kill off cancer cells, you kill off senescent cells and all that stuff. So if you're only getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep, you get buildup of all these toxic cells and all these mutations and all that, and that can lead to cancer. And of course, as we age, our hormones disrupt our sleep. Lots of cortisol dysregulation. As a surgeon, there was not a lot of sleep in my life. And so my cortisol was shot. That's one of the reasons I had to change my career a little bit. When I started looking at myself, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. It causes a lot of thyroid imbalances. So what would work with your sleep is Ashtanga. Does anyone take that here? So it's in a lot of sleep supplement, and it has been proven to be the most beneficial adaptogen. Melatonin really only should be used with jet lag, not on a daily basis as a supplement. And then ubiquinol has also been shown to help a little bit with sleep quality. And then, sleep wearables. Does anyone have an Oura Ring or a Garmin or anything like that? Do you use it often? Every day. What do you like about it?
How it tracks your sleep and how well you recover.
Yeah. So if you had a late night at the bar or something. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really accurate.
What is it?
An Oura Ring or a watch that monitor, your Apple Watches will monitor your sleep phases also, except for the people who wear Apple, they have to charge it at night. But if you have a Garmin, I don't have to charge it once a week. So it also tells you your readiness for the day, your battery for the day. So it looks at all these variables, and so it'll help guide you a little bit. Like if I woke up and my battery is low, then I'm not gonna go for my morning run. Or I might just do 3 miles instead of 10 miles. So it will help guide you in a lot of those aspects. So sleep is really, really important, and it has to be protected. And you go through phases in life where you can't have good sleep, but get it when you can. Next slide. So this is just a little bit about the wearables. The wearables track your sleep stages, your HRV, which is heart rate variability, and that is a very sensitive marker of illness. If you wake up and your heart rate variability is down, by the next day you might be showing the symptoms of a cold or a flu. So that's a good marker to have. Resting heart rate is also a very, very sensitive marker of something happening in your body. And then, so there's an Oura Ring, a Whoop Ring, and all good stuff to monitor your sleep. Next. So stress management. Women are notoriously trying to juggle lots of roles in our life. And sleep deprivation, hormone imbalance, all that's contributing to our stress burden. 49% of consumers report very strong concerns about mental health because of the burnout. Cortisol hormone linked, cortisol is a big driver of what's happening in our body, and it's the more stress you have throughout life, it stresses your adrenal gland even further, and that's where you get adrenal burnout. Anyone heard of that term? So you no longer can produce the adrenaline that your adrenal glands normally produce. So there are some adaptogens that can help with the stress management. We talked about ashwagandha and rhodiola. Strength training has also been shown to help regulate the cortisol more so than endurance training. So 10 to 15 minutes of strength training, and that goes back also to the muscle. The more muscle you have, the more resilient you are to cortisol stress. And then studies have shown that, mindfulness in what you're doing is going to be helpful with stress management. So does anyone have recommendations for stress management? Meditation.
I just play a game I like until I'm not stressed anymore.
Meditation is very important. Studies have shown the chemistry in your brain actually improves after just 10 minutes of meditation, deep breathing meditation a day. And then it just has lots of effects on that cortisol also, but it's really hard. And all you gotta do is just stop and deep breathe, box breathing, 5 minutes a day, and that would definitely significantly decreases your cortisol. Next slide. This is how our hormones are affecting our stresses. So the chronic stress I talked about elevates your cortisol to a point where it becomes fatigue. And then the higher the cortisol, the more it steals away from your progesterone. So then you have a progesterone drop, and that causes irritability, poor sleep. So those women who wake up in the middle of the night a couple times a night, it's probably because of the progesterone being low. And then causing a cycle irregularity also, and that can also affect your thyroid disruption. So the goal is to eliminate stress as much as you can to build up the nervous system. So there are cortisol support supplements, I guess, and you'll find that at the pharmacy and all that. But it's it's adaptogens and then supplements that can help support your stress. But the muscle strengthening training is probably the one the most important thing. And then the fifth thing is social connection. This is really important in the lifestyle medicine aspect. 79% of women report emotional support from online community. And it's okay. Online community is where we're going these days. And then with the Gen X, they're twice as likely to trust their peers over clinicians. And, you know, I guess they're a biohacking world, there are podcasts, you know, all kinds of people on podcasts that are disseminating helpful information. You just have to make sure you're personalizing it and not just generalizing it, right? So someone says this diet works and then you try it, works a little bit, but then it doesn't work for you, okay? So that's some of the problem with that social internet world. So we know that, you know, we know that it's important to have the baby in contact with the mother, right when they're born, and that triggers all this hormone cascade. It's the same throughout life. That human touch is really important with the oxytocin release. Have you heard oxytocin? That's a longevity hormone. That's a longevity peptide that is being marketed now so that people can take oxytocin supplements. But all you gotta do is give someone a hug every day. So that social contact is really important. Social media, online community is important, but that touch, you just can't get away from that. God gave us that tool for a reason. Really, the more I learn about the human body, the more I'm amazed how God thought of all these mechanisms to help us through life. Next. Oh, there it is. That's what I was talking about. So 79% show emotional support with the online community. Next. So the over unifying theme is that health is not in a silo, but is multi-axis, right? It's hormone, it's sleep, it's stress, it's protein and all that. And so right now we have a lot of technology that can give that information. And patients are bringing a lot of this data to their physicians for the appointment. 72% of clinicians reported that they're getting useful data from their patients. So you can advocate for what your body is doing and not, you know, as a physician, we have when you come in, we have preset, I guess, thoughts in our head about what's going on with you, right? But until we look at your data, we really don't know exactly what's happening with your body. Next. So what can we say for today? Starting today, prioritize your protein and your gut health. Every time you eat something sweet, try to eat something fermented with it. But there is a little trick when you're eating sweets, like a fruit, right? And an orange is healthy for you, right? But if you eat it by itself first thing in the morning, you're gonna get a surge of glucose. Your glucose is gonna go really high. So you have to combine it with more fiber or some protein or some good fats. So I would eat my avocado with a little bit of my orange or my berries, and that will slow down the absorption of the sugar. Also, you can eat dessert after you have a high fiber meal. So the fiber will go in and protect your body. It triggers all kinds of signaling, all kinds of hormones, and then you eat a little bit of dessert. It won't be as impactful. Small amount of dessert, not the whole pie. So eating fiber with your sugar is gonna really help slow down the absorption of the sugar. Prioritize your sleep. Make sure you protect it as much as you can. There are times in life where you can't, but protect it as much as you can. If you have to, take a supplement to calm your brain down. You know, there's lots of good adaptogens and a lot of good supplements. You don't have to take a sleeping pill. Also, getting sunlight first within 30 minutes of waking up will trigger your body into a circadian rhythm, and it'll remember to release melatonin within 12 hours of you seeing that sunlight. So it's very important to get sunlight. And you have to go outside, not through the window. You have to go outside, and that will trigger your body to know that it's morning, and then it's going to start its circadian rhythm. And then stressors, meditation, deep breathing, connecting with your community, whatever community that is really important. Church groups, running groups. I have a group of 5 ladies that we go running together, so I have to go, but when I try to go do it on my own, it's really hard to get out of bed and do it on your own. So if you need some help with establishing a workout routine, recruit someone. I'm sure they'll love to join you, because it's good for them too, but they're too shy to ask, right? And then, we live in a great, amazing time where we can advocate for ourselves. Use your wearables, track your cycle, and know your body a little bit more, and that will help your physicians guide with the treatment. All right, any questions?
If I take a fiber, should I not take it at night? Should I do it? I heard you say something about you don't want to eat at night. So should you also not take?
Are you taking a fiber supplement?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I not do it at night?
So probably the best time is in the morning during the day. And you have to stop eating 3 hours before bed to allow your glucose and everything to go down. Has anyone worn a continuous glucose monitor before? Was it helpful?
It's getting there. I just put it on, probably I'm less than 10 days in.
Okay.
And it's so much easier to know, I can just look on my phone and see what's happening.
Yep.
So yeah, it's new, but it's helpful.
So one of the amazing thing was eating late at night. If I ate at 6, my sugar was still, or at 7, my sugar was still high 2 hours later. And you don't want to go to sleep with a high glucose level because that disrupts a lot of things. You can get one of those wearables for like $80 or $90 for a whole month. It's a device you can put on that you can wear for 2 weeks, and it'll get wet. It will survive water. I've worn it on a marathon run before. It survives all the sweating and all that. So it's really helpful to give yourself, because everybody's a little different how they react to oranges or apples, and things you think is healthy for you may not be.
When you were talking, when she was asking about fiber, if you know that you don't get enough fiber in your diet, talk about fiber substitute, or what does that look like? Is that like that Benefiber stuff that you?
Benefiber is okay. Yes, Benefiber is a substitute. But another way to getting fiber is through the seeds, hemp seeds, chia seed, flax seed. The best way is getting it through vegetables. But if you can't, you can do the seeds. If you sprinkle, like for my breakfast, I'll sprinkle a tablespoon of hemp, a tablespoon of chia, and a tablespoon of flaxseed, and I get like 15 grams of fiber from that. And has anyone eaten flax seeds before? It doesn't taste that bad. Not bad. You can hide it in a lot of things. Hide it in your salad, or you're baking like breakfast muffins or something like that. All right, well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know.